All right. Well, thank you for tuning in. Welcome to the Prince Agency. Here at the Prince Agency, we specialize in health insurance, Medicare, life insurance, and supplemental coverage. We have a great team here with our principal, Melinda Prince, Jeff Muller, VP of Operations, myself and Katie, both licensed agents, and Tamar. So our event today, right sizing your home for retirement. Our speaker today is Andrea Zoet with A to Z Realty. All right, if you want to take it away.
Well, thank you so much. Welcome. So this is going to be very interactive, and I look forward to your feedback and even some of your stories. But I'm going to start by kind of having that teacher approach and jot down some of the reasons what brought you here today. Why are people tuning in today? And I understand it's July. It's a very active month with lots of events and beautiful pure Michigan out there drawing us. And of course, you're probably seeing this maybe from around the country. I know certainly like Arizona and Michigan for sure. And so, but here it's beautiful. And so a lot of people, I'm sure, are doing other things and they can watch this later too. So that's the beauty of technology. But that being said, what are some of the reasons why people are tuning in today? Yes.
My house is getting too much to take care of.
To manage.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep. All right. Home too much to manage. What else?
My children have moved out, so I just have too much space.
Empty nesters. Maybe one more?
Location. It's getting to be a hassle to get out and do activities.
Proximity. If I spelled that right. Proximity to what's important to you. Great answers. So I like to approach a report or a presentation with like the standard who, what, where, why, and when. And so as we begin to examine what right sizing looks like, first we want to answer the question of who are seniors. And seniors are actually 55 and older. So I am a senior, and seniors are young people. Seniors are people that, is everything coming in? Okay, great. Is it okay that I'm over here?
No, yeah, you're good. I just suggested.
Yep. All right. Just making sure I'm positioned correctly. So obviously seniors are 55 and older, and that's the target for this, the message today. And what is the value of home ownership after 55? Where is the best solutions for seniors to live? Why are all of these considerations important? And when is the best time to transition? And so some of those things I can tell you as a realtor, our work is a reaction typically to life transitions more often than not. And whether it's even investments that people are getting to a place where they can invest in real estate, or like we talked about, empty nesters or people that are ready to upsize because their family is growing. But welcome. So we talked about what brought you here today. So over the next 30 minutes, maybe less, we'll see, we are going to explore how best to approach preparing for housing after 55. So please be engaged. I want you to ask questions and even share your own stories if they are relevant and helpful to the rest of us. So as we move through the application of how it is best to transition. So we're going to do a quick little activity. I have a catalog, a magazine in front of you, and I am going to invite you to pick one of those up, and I want you to quickly look through there, and whoever comes up with the answer that I'm looking for, I have a gift for. But what I want you to do is look in that and find an article that is relative to an aging person, a person 55 and older, and home ownership and housing. right sizing. On your mark, get set, go. So again, look at the magazine, find an article which is relatable in regards to aging and housing. And the first person to provide an answer that I thought was most applicable, I have a gift for. Okay.
I like creating a backyard paradise.
Creating a backyard paradise. All right, I'm going to give you a gift. That is a great answer. There you go. Enjoy. Creating a backyard paradise. It's not the one I'm looking for. The one that most often comes up over and over again when we're looking at aging and 55 years of age and older. So grab a magazine, guys. You can get one too.
What about homeowners insurance?
Homeowners insurance. That's a good article too. It's not the one I was looking for. You can have a gift as well. There you go. I'll give you a hint. I think it's toward the beginning of the magazine. And think about a person who's aging and what is some of the essential tasks, and this is helpful, that that person would be doing.
The innovative cleaning products.
Innovative cleaning products. Okay, Tamar, you got one too. I'll share the one that I thought, again, is what we run into most often, is finding a home for your unwanted stuff.
Okay.
So one of the first things that aging, as we transition into housing, and we're also, obviously we're talking empty nesters, it more often than not is getting rid of the things that we as Americans and consumers have accumulated over decades. So it's getting rid of that unwanted stuff, the old keep, donate, or discard piles. But that's a fun article that I thought was really relative to what we're going to talk about today. So great. I think I also was just going to touch on that. And my information is on those catalogs as well, our business, which is A to Z Realty. So you are welcome to text me or email me if you want to be added to our mailing list. We do free events too, and you'd be welcome to be a part of those. So during our time together, we are going to explore elements which impact the quality of life for those 55 years of age and older, and address where we live can further impact achieving that happiest version of ourselves. So here's a sneak peek at some of those elements to consider when deciding where to live and what are practical features by topic. So an example of that that we'll touch on today is proximity to loved ones. And I believe we kind of talked about too much to manage, proximity to. So the most common is proximity to loved ones, or a location where the climate is more conducive to those outdoor activities. And another thing to consider too in terms of location that we see a lot of, and we have for some time, is intergenerational living together. And it's really fun. There's an article that if we had more time I would share, but it just talks about how people are designing their homes so that it is meeting the needs of people's privacy and mobility, and to have those intergenerational relationships, and the beauty and the benefit of living together is also something to consider. So let's first consider approaching decision-making holistically. So what do we mean by holistic? Well, holistic in simple terms means addressing the whole person. It's the spiritual, the emotional, the social, the intellectual, the vocational, financial, and physical. These aspects of who we are affect how we achieve that healthiest and happiest version of ourselves. So decisions affect the quality of our life because the parts of who we are interdependent. So hi, once again, I am Andrea Zoet. My background includes a bachelor's degree from Grand Valley State University with a degree in public administration, a minor in, or those emphases actually included community strategic planning, criminal justice, and then I have a minor in sociology. So West Michigan has been my home since 1978, and more specifically, Caledonia, where we are filming right now, since 1997 with my husband and our 2 sons. In 2014, we were blessed to have my grandmother move in with us. She lived with us between the ages of 90 to 97 when she passed in our home surrounded by us in 2021. During this time, we learned a great deal. I learned a great deal, especially about how aging individuals experience this transition from the golden years of freedom and independence to dependence and certain inevitable limitations. Their expansive resources bridge the growing needs of our aging population. There are expansive resources to bridge the growing needs of our aging population, of which I fall into as well. We are going to address some of these resources and other considerations as we momentarily take a step back and approach seniors and their home ownership. As we all age, a question many of us face is in-home care versus assisted care facilities. And even before my grandmother, we had family who owned an assisted care company, which provided both in-home care, where you were in your own private home, as well as a 12-room facility. So this is where I also learned a great deal about that quality of life that one can have in relationship to where we live. So today we are assuming home ownership. That's our focus. And why is that a best option if it is an option? And so let's focus on the elements which cultivate that best environment for living in your own home. And one of the things I also want to touch on immediately is I am an older person, and so obviously surrounded by multi-generational people, and I've been around long enough to see how people have chosen to live in their senior years. And one of the things as a realtor, also understanding the value of the investment of the home and watching that in an appreciating market, it's been sometimes painful. I mean, I knew a lady who she rented for 18 years. So you never know how long you're going to live. And I think it just depends on what are the benefits of home ownership versus letting someone else take care of something. But ultimately, the beauty is in home ownership, you're in control of some fixed numbers. I mean, there's some variables with taxes and insurance, but with rent, we know that that's undetermined. And at the end of all of that, having that equity, something that you can have to support quality of life. I mean, we see a lot of people really traveling more than anything. So right sizing. So I think one of the things that when we were talking about right sizing, the first thing that came to mind was right here in Caledonia, there was a property that I listed, and it was right across the street from the high school. 5 bedrooms, 3.5 bath. I thought I knew who was going to buy that property, and it was multiple offers. However, guess who ended up buying it? Grandparents. The grandparents ended up buying a 5-bedroom, 3.5 bath home. And why did they do it? Because they value family, and they wanted to have an environment that was welcoming and accessible. So right sizing is going to be defined very differently, whether it from one buyer, one homeowner to another. And only you in the process of your own decision-making is going to decide what right sizing looks like for you. So the other thing to consider as you are right sizing and transitioning, whether it is an equal size property or not, is the moving services, estate sales. Those are some of those resources that are very helpful. And furthermore, just all those professional services that help make that transition smooth, and for example, cleaning services. So now we're getting into location. And we talked about home being too big to manage. Once again, right sizing. sometimes the size, the square footage isn't necessarily what is relative to management. It might be the type of yard you have, and the age of the home and the mechanicals and what kind of work is going into those maintenances. Because I certainly see when we think about management, we might think about size, but sometimes the square footage isn't going to matter. It's about the features. Does that make sense? Okay. So empty nesters, we've already touched on that. So one of the most common considerations when you're looking at location and those features that are important to a person 55 years of age and older are the proximity to medical facilities and all those related sources. And I even know people that know their distance from the fire department and EMS. That's important to them. Another is their educational opportunities. How close is the community center, the library? A lot of people are very involved, and my grandmother, the same one I referenced earlier, she would always say, a day isn't complete until you've learned something. And I hope that as all of